And hello and welcome to another Xterra video where I work on my truck. Sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. And in today's video we are back to my ongoing saga with my axles. I have to... As you guys may know or may not know from my previous video when I went to Pennsylvania, where I actually find out with the help of friends that I do not have a right gear ratio, and later on I confirmed that by testing it over here. My front axle doesn't have a right gear ratio, so it's no use to me. I cannot use it, I cannot go in four-wheel drive. And what's the point of having a four-wheel drive truck if you cannot go in four-wheel drive? So therefore I have to disassemble everything all over again on the front. I have to pull it out, and temporarily I'm gonna put a R180 front differential that actually one of my friends gave it to me because he had a right gear ratio in it, but some time ago he swapped to M25 Titan front differential and that's what he has. So luckily he had it in a storage, so that's where I'm gonna put it on. So here's the front differential that my friend gave it to me. It actually is so well wrapped that I even feel bad opening it up. I also had to buy a new half axles because the ones I had, I actually threw them out. The boots on them were actually ripped on both of them, to my slight disappointment, because I just bought them like what, a year, 2 years ago or something. Anyways, they ripped, so I threw them out. I was so excited about having a Titan swapped axle in the front, so I had to buy that as well. Also got a new gear oil, of course, which we're gonna put in the end. So now I'm actually gonna unwrap this, just make sure this is all fine in one piece before I start disassembling everything. And yeah, then I'm gonna lift up the truck, take off the tires and start disassembling the front all over again. I have myself a new front differential diff again, and by new of course I mean new to me, but it looks fine. This is plugged up, so, and this is plugged up, so it looks like no dirt went inside, so that's good. Time to disassemble it. So I lifted up my truck. Now I'm gonna remove my skid plates, but this time only the engine skid plate and the transfer case skid plate. So now I can work on removing the tires and start disassembling each side. I have to disassemble the upper control arms, I have to disconnect the shocks, and I have to remove the tie rods. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff to disassemble. Now for these lug nuts, unfortunately I cannot use impact rated sockets because they simply don't fit in here. So, but hopefully this is all right as well. Alright, the tire is out, so now I'm actually gonna disassemble the caliper. I'm gonna remove this because I will need a lot of space over here to wiggle with the axles, the half axles, because I need to push this towards me a lot. So I'll have to disassemble this. I have to disassemble the caliper and just keep it hanging somewhere here. Then I also have to remove this, and of course this. And the brakes and the caliper and everything is out. I just removed the two bolts and I like to set it on the bucket on the side. So that's gonna be good. So now I'm gonna remove this pin. Done. So now I'm gonna repeat the same on the other side and can move on to start removing the differential itself.
Alright guys, so as you can see the crossbar is out. I removed it. So now I have to remove these 4 40mm nuts and bolts. But when I was assembling these, I was very smart and I put a lot of generous amount of red thread lacquer. So now I have to fight and trying to break this loose. I cannot put a ratchet over here with a socket, so I have to do it with just a regular key, and hopefully it doesn't break like I did last time when I was removing the rear axle. So gonna fight with that now, trying to take him out, and then I can take out these 3 big bolts holding the axle, and then I'm gonna do something even more silly. He's trying to take it out by myself. I would not recommend to do that. Like they say, don't try this at home, but I'm gonna try it anyways.
So now I'm trying to heat up the nuts over here, so it'd be easier for me, hopefully, to take them out. And I'm using this from Harbor Freight, which I picked up for brake lines, but this works for here as well. And of course I have to hold this so it doesn't spin. Sometimes I don't know if the nut spins or it strips. Okay, I got it. Whew, for a moment I thought it started to spin inside here, but no. Got it. Nice. So, looks like the plan is working. So, now I'm gonna do the remaining bolts like that. And we should be good. Alright, so all the bolts, nuts, everything is loose. All is holding the differential now is just 3 bolts going across. So now I'm gonna attempt removing it myself, but this might not work out pretty good. So yeah.
So as I'm working over here and I took the differential out, what I actually noticed that my engine mounts, my driver's side, along with the passenger side, the ones I replaced about maybe 2 years ago, they both ripped. They both are completely ripped. You see there's a big gap over there, so that's not good. Unfortunately, didn't know about that, of course, and now it's a perfect time to replace them because there is nothing in the way. But I guess it's gonna have to be another project. I have to look it up and I have to order something else. I'm not gonna order the same parts because they didn't last at all. Just maybe what, under 2 years. Yeah, so looks like another project is in the works.
Alright guys, so M25 is out and 180 is almost ready to go in. But like I said, when I took everything out, I noticed that my engine mounts are ripped. So I'm a little bit upset, but I guess you get what you pay for. I bought them on a budget side, but as you can see, they didn't last. So I already placed an order from Z1 Off-Road for 2 new engine mounts. Hopefully they're gonna come soon. And to make my life easier, I think I'm gonna replace them while everything is out, because it's much easier to get to these bolts and to these bolts, especially to these ones. So I think I'm gonna leave everything just like that for now, and gonna have to wait until I get the engine mounts. And once I get the engine mounts, I can replace the engine mounts and then mount everything back. So unfortunately my truck is gonna be disabled for quite some time. But hopefully not for too long, maybe not more than a week, because next weekend I actually have a planned out trip I'm going to with my friends. So hopefully I can assemble everything before that time. I have to work overnights on the truck to put everything together. When I get the engine mounts, when I replace them, maybe I'll make a video on that, maybe not, because recording a video is gonna take time, and maybe I'm just gonna focus later on, just replace the engine mounts as fast as I can, the right way of course, and then install the differential back in place and start and assemble everything. So we'll see. Wish me luck, guys.
2,000 years later.
Okay guys, it's another day, it's the end of a day, and again I'm losing daylight, so I'm gonna start working on putting everything back together. First starting with putting the front axle inside, and then it's just a reverse procedure, pretty much putting everything back. So I may not even record all of that because it's gonna be dark soon, but we'll see. I might record a couple of pieces. Cannot help myself sometimes. So now without further ado, gonna start putting everything back in place. So there it is, my new to me R180 front differential. At least this time it has the right gear ratio, so it's gonna match my rear axle, so I can actually engaged 4x4. So now I'm gonna crawl under and do some exercising. Gonna do some bench pressing. Yeah, that's gonna be fun putting it in there by myself. Alright, I got it. Whew. So axle is in place and secured, all the bolts are tight. So now I'm gonna work on connecting the shaft to this. I'm still gonna put the thread locker on those bolts, because just to be on the safe side, whenever I have to disassemble it again, I'm just gonna hit them up again with a torch, and they're gonna come off no problem. But probably next time I'm gonna replace them for new ones. I still have the new ones. But hopefully this is just a temporary, it's not gonna stay for too long, hopefully just until the spring or something. So this is all tied up, and it really helps to hold this with a big channel axe right here. It holds it really good, that way you can tie in those bolts without the axle and the shaft spinning, so that's pretty good. And the crossbar is in place as well, bolts are tight. So now I can move on the sides and start assembling the axles, suspension, brakes and tires. So once again, this is my new axles that I'm getting again. Well, the old ones, I threw them out because they ripped, but hopefully this is actually the right ones I ordered as well. They look a little bit different, but let's take a look. Yeah, sure enough, they look exactly the same as the ones I had before. So now I'm gonna put a little bit of a grease over here. That will help me to slide in there. And yeah, let's just assemble everything. And of course, to put this axle inside, you have to work it as a plunger. Just give it a good few taps in there and it should slide in. And that's it. Alright, and the axle is in place. Now I'm working on securing the shock and the upper control arm. And now I have the calipers with the rollers going all in together. Just gonna make it tight, and then I'm gonna put the tire rod. And everything is back together in place. The tires are up, all the bolts are tied in, so everything should be good now. At least for now that I have right matching gear ratios, so actually I can engage in four-wheel drive and go have some fun off-road. I'm a little bit disappointed still in myself that I never checked the gear ratio on the axle that I got for the front differential, the M205. I just assumed and hoped that what they sent it to me was the right thing, but unfortunately it wasn't, so it's completely my fault. But I'm still gonna work on it. I'm still gonna work on that axle. In the future, I'm gonna see what I can do about it. I'm probably gonna re-gear it, so yeah. But the swap has been complete, done. I actually went off-roading. It's actually been some time since then, and it's working. Everything is working fine now, so that's the important thing. So on this note, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you might find it helpful, and as always, until next time, everybody, bye.